Welcome. Thank you for attending the Massachusetts Statewide Advanced Manufacturing Training System. We're going to talk with you about how Massachusetts has created a statewide manufacturing training system, which consists of 4 consortiums. Once we talk about that, we are all from the Central Region Consortium, which is called REMAKE. And with that, we will talk about branding. And I will give it over to Anthony Wilson, and he will talk about the branding of REMAKE. Once that's complete, then I will turn it over to Jason Walker, who will talk about some of the real nuts and bolts around recruitment of participants, employers, and a little bit of the training opportunities that we've provided. And then last, we're going to talk about a few questions. We're going to have a few questions that will help to really distinguish how we've been doing with successful feedback, etc. So with that, I'm going to begin talking about the consortium. So there are 4 regional manufacturing consortiums throughout Massachusetts. We were funded in 2018 for 5 years based on the state budget line items. Within that year, we created a 5-year strategic plan using labor market data, listening sessions from employers, and created a plan of what we thought would need to be looked at and promoted within manufacturing. The 4 regions are the Central Region, REMAKE 4.0, which would be us. There is a Northeast region, a Southeast region, in a Western region, each one of them being local because they have a little bit of a different need. The leadership and the funding that's provided is by the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development. With each of the local state plans, we did a SWOT analysis, which allows us to look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And with that, each one of the local consortiums created strategic priorities that would go through the 5 years. They saw what was really the most important things to make a difference in the next 5 years. And then as a group, a leadership group, we came together and really created what is called the statewide priorities. And these are based on similar workforce issues that were across all 4 of the consortiums. The first and foremost one that we're seeing is close the talent and skill gap in manufacturing. We know, looking toward 2023, that many people will be within the retirement age and will be retiring within the next 5 years. So we really need to take that skill and that expertise and be able to hold on to it moving forward. We also needed to create guaranteed funding resources for training. So that is something the state is working on, is how to make sure that we are continuing to really help this critical industry in Massachusetts. The other real big piece of manufacturing is the change of negative public perception of manufacturing careers. One of the things that we have seen across the state is there's truly a negative public perception. What is manufacturing? Or there's no perception. They don't have an idea of what manufacturing really is at this time. And so our opportunity is to change that. And you'll hear a lot about that with the REMAKE that we're talking about. Increasing the number of trained workers entering the manufacturing field, that is huge, again, across the state. If they do not know about manufacturing or they have a negative perception, manufacturing might not be the first career that you are picking in order to go into college or any kind of postgraduate graduate education. And last but not least is, when you have this knowledge and expertise, you need to increase the training capacity by recruiting teachers or those that have retired to become teachers in order to upscale not only new work to scale new workers, but also upskill incumbent workers, those workers that are already working for companies that have the potential to really move forward in that particular career. Now, I'm going to just briefly talk to you about Remake 4.0, and then I'm going to move it over to Anthony, who will really talk about the whole branding. One of the things that we really decided when we put this grant forward is that we knew that there was stigma against manufacturing, so that there needed to be some kind of brand. The Remake brand is in itself, but the revolutionary partnership between it is actually in each one of the consortiums, and that is employers, educators, workforce boards, and then affiliates, which would be your chambers and others that have an investment in manufacturing, to really create a strong network amongst them. Remake actively works with manufacturing leaders and tries to enroll and fund new and experienced workers alike into quality training and leadership programs. Again, we're looking at new pipeline workers, and we're looking at workers in manufacturing and increase their ability. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn over the branding piece to Anthony Wilson and let him talk with you a little bit about what Remake is all about.
Thanks very much, Kelly. So early on in our efforts as a consortium, we realized that we need to have a powerful and bold branding strategy. We had met together as a consortium, and we really worked collaboratively to come up with what would the spirit of manufacturing in this region, what would it be? What is it? And we kind of looked back at some of our roots from Massachusetts. Massachusetts is always known to be a revolutionary leader. We always lead our country's revolutions. We're always blazing trails and paths here. And so as we set out to continue in this training grant, we decided to pick a bold and brave statement: Remake 4.0. It touches back on some of our revolutionary roots, but also points to the future. So the 4.0 speaks about the fourth industrial revolution that we are currently in. So it does a good job at balancing the past and the future. So Remake 4.0 is branding that's big enough for all of our partners to find their own identity in. It's not just something that's owned by the workforce board, or owned by a single employer, or owned by a single educator, but it's something that's broad enough umbrella for everybody who cares about manufacturing and manufacturing efforts throughout this region and also the state of Massachusetts to find themselves under this umbrella. But we also want to have a laser beam focus to say that we do have a mission and we do have a purpose. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. We want to embody an innovative attitude and vision that shifts perceptions of what it means to work in manufacturing today. So with our marketing efforts, we've had several different things that we've really struck very hard on. So one of the things is our website. On our website, it is a pretty robust website. We have stories that's there, and some of the stories are meant to share successes with our efforts, but also to change perceptions. As Kelly spoke of, many times when people think of manufacturing or advanced manufacturing, some of the images that comes to mind is the images from our first industrial revolution, in which it was necessary, but it was still dangerous and had lots of things that could go wrong. Our manufacturing today, our 4.0, our fourth industrial revolution, is one that is clean, it's one that is safe, and is one that is looking towards the future. And that's what we're inviting people on. That's what the type of stories that you'll see on our website. We also have a jobs page that's posted on our website that lists up all the job opportunities, and it we have talking about our virtual job fairs that we have coming up. We also have a training list. We have upcoming events. This is all things that we're doing with our branding. It's not just a name, but it's actually actions and substance behind it. We have a pretty aggressive social media campaign that we have going on, and it's all had designed with certain images that is a reflection of our diverse area that we have. So like on the screen, we see a female that's down at the bottom of the page. So we have lots of opportunities for all different types of people who which might traditionally not think of entering into manufacturing, but there are opportunities available. And this is what we want to highlight and to express. On the top of the page, you see this, the state of Massachusetts has always been an outlaw. That's something that we also wanted to embody and to show with manufacturing. Manufacturing and going to manufacturing careers is, for many people, it's a step away from the beaten and trod path. It is truly blazing, and it's for free thinkers. It's for those who are creative. It's for those who want, independence. It's for those who want to make something. And this embodiment of this outlaw type of personality, I think it resonates with many people. In our efforts, we have 4 different targets that we're aiming at. We have incumbent workers, we have those in career transition, we have those yet to enter into the job market, and we also have manufacturing employers. So talking about each one of these individually. So incumbent workers. So we have a very large percentage of people who are in this region of Massachusetts who are already involved in manufacturing. In fact, 1 of every 4 jobs is related to manufacturing or manufacturing ecosystem in our area. So we want to be able to make sure that our workforce has the skills for the changing and adapting markets and creative things that we are producing here in Massachusetts. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that our workforce is trained and skilled with the latest information. So one of the ways in which we've done that is early on in our efforts that we listened to some of our employers. What type of things do they want their employees to be trained with? And we've brought that back to our educational partners, and they've crafted courses that will help upskill incumbent workers. So we have to outreach to people who are already in the field and encourage them, hey, let's get more skills. Let's continue to forge a path and galvanize the future in your career. And we want to do that by guaranteeing that you have certain certifications and skills that will help you go to the next stage in your career. Next bullet point is those who are in career transition. So we have lots of people who, for whatever reason, find themselves transitioning from one career path into another career path. There are lots of opportunities in manufacturing. As I said before, it's not just a job, but it's a whole ecosystem. It's a whole range of opportunities. So thinking about the people who may have not had any production experience, well, we still want you. We still have plenty of open doors for you in this field. So reaching out to the people in career transition, we need to be able to show through our branding all those diverse opportunities. It's not just being on a machine, but we need people who are going to be designers. We need people who are going to be marketers. We need people who are going to work in the human resource office. We need supervisors. We need transporters. There are so many different opportunities in manufacturing and advanced manufacturing that for those people who are in career transition, we want to take them into our training and being able to get them accustomed and accumulated to the temp and to the environment, and have them also have a successful next stage in their career. Those who have yet to enter into the job market, we have done a lot of work in partnering with our local high schools. We have lots of high schools that are going for what's called an Innovative Pathway grant, and who also received them. They're focusing on manufacturing and advanced manufacturing at a high school level. In order to guarantee that we're going to have the next amount of workforce, the next number in our workforce, we need to reach these young people who might not even ever think of entering into manufacturing. I know when I was in high school, going into manufacturing was something that was discouraged, and was something that was actually looked down upon. by guidance counselors and by teachers. Now it's something that it should be encouraged, it should be explored, it should be looked into, because that's where technology is being used. That's where creativity is being displayed. And so we have to engage with our local high schoolers and high school administration to really expose them to our opportunities. And that's what our branding does. Last one is manufacturing employers. One of the things that our branding does is, because it's not owned by just one employer or by the workforce board or by one educational partner, it's owned by all of us. And what having this umbrella of Remake 4.0, it allows for all of manufacturers to partner with us and to allow us to help them in the recruiting efforts and to be able to highlight this critical industry, this necessary industry of manufacturing. So, and then what we do is we invite others to join us in seeing how a career in manufacturing is creative, liberating, and revolutionary. We have lots of different mechanisms to do it, but our branding Remake 4.0 is basically the vehicle in which we're using to get others on board and into manufacturing. So, thank you.
So manufacturing in Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts has identified manufacturing as a top priority industry. Remake 4.0 is a state-funded grant tasked with changing the perception of manufacturing and manufacturing careers and increasing the manufacturing workforce pipeline. Remake 4.0 is a revolutionary partnership between employers, educators, and workforce boards geared toward making manufacturing the epicenter of manufacturing in Massachusetts. The two main points of emphasis are: one, building awareness of not only manufacturing jobs, but manufacturing careers to job seekers in Central Mass. And two, partnering with manufacturers to identify incumbent workers ready for training to take the next step in their manufacturing careers. We all know the stigma that surrounds jobs in manufacturing. There's a misconception that these jobs are low-paying, dirty, dangerous. But at Remake 4.0, we know that that's not true. There's upward mobility, meaningful work, and a multitude of career opportunities. Manufacturing has always been at the cutting edge of technology, and as modern manufacturing moves into Industry 4.0, jobs will be using state-of-the-art equipment to build a better future. Remake responds to the needs and the demands of the advanced manufacturers in Central Massachusetts. Remake works to develop the regional workforce pipeline that will provide the skilled employees necessary for an advanced manufacturing to remain globally competitive long into the future. And to this end, the consortium partners with local manufacturers to identify entry points and career pathways. Working with and for local manufacturers, Remake has created a manufacturing job page for current entry-level and experienced jobs on the remakema.com website. We've coordinated job fairs, meet and greets, lunch and learns, manufacturing tours, and due to the recent stay-at-home rules, we've pivoted to creating virtual job fairs, and we're in the process of planning a virtual tour for the upcoming manufacturing day. Production of Remake 4.0 employer newsletter that specifically focuses on the needs of employers with training and other funding opportunities. We also promote STEM, apprenticeships, work studies, co-ops, and other programs to attract targeted students into the manufacturing training pipeline. Remake also emphasizes recruiting job seekers by developing a campaign to drive public interest in manufacturing as a great career pathway and to connect people with job opportunities in the industry. Remake 4.0 uses social media to spread the message about job fairs, virtual job fairs, training classes, meet and greets, lunch and learns, manufacturing tours, manufacturing days, and other Remake initiatives. We have outreach to a diverse talent pool at local high schools, tech schools, and community colleges. We initiate the development of certificate programs at community colleges and vocational high schools. We host monthly manufacturing job readiness programs that prepares active job seekers for a career in manufacturing. And we continue relationships with Masshire, Mass MEP, Veterans Inc., Worcester Housing Authority, local chambers of commerce, and other community coalitions. The manufacturing industry is bringing jobs back to Massachusetts, driving a need for new and skilled people with unique specific skill sets. REMAKE 4.0 actively works with Massachusetts manufacturing leaders to enroll and fund new and experienced workers alike into quality training and leadership programs. For manufacturers to invest in local workforce and current manufacturer workers looking to take the next step in their careers, REMAKE continuously runs training programs with our community colleges, vocational and technical high schools. We partner with schools such as Quinsigamond, Mount Wachusett, Monty Tech, Worcester Tech, Bay Path, and Ed Hub. REMAKE 4.0 training invites the daring, the bold, and the free thinkers to experience and learn the necessary skills to make a change and build their career. We coordinate with our manufacturing partners for input and guidance in developing the best possible courses to create skilled and sustainable manufacturing labor pool. Our programs are designed to spark interest and ignite passion while building skills and attitudes that make workplaces thrive. We have classes such as Introduction to Machine Operation, CNC Operator, CAD, Six Sigma Yellow Belt, Supervisory Skills for Manufacturing, Shop Math, OSHA 10, Interpreting Prints and Drawings, Welding, including MIG and TIG welding. Whether new to manufacturing and looking for the desired skills to start a career, or an experienced manufacturer looking to upskill your current abilities, these programs will allow the future manufacturing workforce to build their futures by connecting them directly with the resources they need to develop their skills. REMAKE is a partnership among industry, academia, and workforce development established to promote a sustained support for manufacturing within central Massachusetts. REMAKE focuses on connecting manufacturers with the resources for developing a sustainable talent pipeline of employees, and to this end, the consortium leverages a wealth of local, state, and national resources. In closing, REMAKE 4.0 is designed to re-engineer the talent pipeline for manufacturers in Massachusetts.
Thank you, Jason. I think that is wonderful. I think one of the things we just want to talk amongst ourselves for a moment, I'm going to ask a couple questions and get some feedback that hasn't been discussed. Anthony, what is the feedback that you are hearing about the actual REMAKE branding?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Every time that I engage with people about the branding, one of the first things that they notice is the passion that's behind it. They instantly see the energy and they see the direction in which we're trying to go. REMAKE really does embody this concept of a revolutionary, progressive advancement in a great critical industry. So we have great things that we hear back from our other educators that we engage with, the general population that we engage with, people that we're recruiting for the classes, and also employers. Employers are giving us lots of good feedback because this is something that it does them a favor, because lots of employers over history have had a hard time attaining and retaining people in manufacturing because of the stigma and the perception. What REMAKE 4.0 does is it removes some of those things, not because it actually exposes what's really there. It is something that we should be encouraging people to look into. It is something that is attractive and is innovative. And so that's what we have the privilege to do. We get to expose what's already there. So.
I think that's wonderful. Again, we're making it here in Massachusetts. One of the things, Jason, I have a question for you. This year has been a very difficult year with COVID. It was a huge challenge that we weren't expecting. And when that challenge came in place and the governor put in Massachusetts to stay in place, how did REMAKE work with their training programs? Can you tell us a little bit about what happened once that stay in place came into play?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, during, we had the pandemic hit, we had classes that were actively in progress. And we obviously teamed up with the local schools to see what we could do to continue the classes. And one of the solutions that was attained was moving the class from an in-person class to a virtual classroom using Zoom rooms and using Tooling U as a teaching tool. And that way the class was able to proceed when no students were allowed on campus. The class still moved forward. Teachers were still interacting with students, assigning projects, assigning homework, and then making sure the homework was completed until such a time that the classes were able to bring the students back in 2 or 3 at a time, social distance, and be able to get their hands on the CNC class. Because a class like CNC is so important. You can teach so much virtually, but until the students can get their hands on the actual equipment, program, and execute the programs, it's really only able to go so far. So our schools were able to remote learn, virtual learn for a couple of months until they were able to get back in and get their hands on. And we just had a class that ended about 2 weeks ago with that model. I can think of a couple of different classes. We had one in Worcester and one up in North Central that did the same thing.
Wonderful. So, I mean, we've gotten to COVID, the training, and actual completing the training. Anthony, can you speak to some of the successes that have been working with both the participants that have completed their training, and what does that look like?
Yeah, 2 different lines of success. One line is for people who already been in the industry, and one person who's never even has no manufacturing experience. So at the beginning of COVID, we had to transition our classes online. And we actually had a local company, send 3 of their workers to receive education in SolidWorks or CAD courses. They do a lot of Department of Defense contracts, and so they needed certain things designed. So they sent 3 of their employees there. 2 of them are the people that are going to be directly designing and making some products, and one of them's a supervisor. All 3 of those students did really, really well in the course. 2 of them were able to be able to better understand some of the process of making things. And the supervisor, I think, was really beneficial for the supervisor to be able to actually engage in the process and see, okay, how does something get designed? What are some of the things that I can actually request to make that are reasonable requests for a person? What's the lead time to make a design? And then, so then person can now empathize with a designer who might be struggling with trying to make something to a certain tolerance. And it was a great opportunity for the supervisor to see it, but also for the people who actually make the products to be upskilled. Now they're going to be more valuable to that company. That's what we want. We want to bring value to employers. The next one is next story is a person who had some experience in technology, but has 0 experience in manufacturing. And this person lost their job early COVID and was fortunate enough to find one of our classes and sign up. And this person also did really, really well on these virtual classes. I just spoke with a teacher last week, and the person got a 95 in the class. And so from not having any experience in manufacturing to be able to get that high of a score really speaks volumes of our educational partners and their ability to meet the needs of the students, and also meet them exactly where they're at, and to bring them up to speed with terms and information that will allow them to have a successful career in manufacturing.
Yeah.
I would also like to add to that, I did have a success story. One of our classes, I had a CAD class also that ended April or May. It ended before the shutdown. But we had a student that completed that class, had their annual review. Their annual review usually follows the positive review, a 1% raise. They actually just let me know that instead of the 1% raise, they got 3% on top of that. So it was a pretty decent raise because they took the CAD class through us.
Wonderful. That is great experience. So you're hearing from both new workers coming in and incumbent workers that are already currently with employers. I think the last thing that we really want to talk about and close with is we had mentioned talking about high schools. We've talked about it a couple of times. REMAKE was able to leverage some other funding from the Department of Education and provide 3 teacher externships into some of the manufacturing training. So Anthony, can you talk about a little bit about the teacher externships and how that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we spoke about earlier, we've been working very closely with several high schools, local high schools, and they're going for their innovative pathways. And so these are high schools that are going to be basically letting the rubber meet the road and engaging with students to prepare them for this fourth industrial revolution, preparing them for the next steps in production. So we had 3 teachers from local high school that was able to participate in this this summer program. The teachers all took 3 different classes. So the first class that was completed was called Six Sigma Yellow Belt Certification, and that deals with like quality assurance and control. The teacher said it was pretty tough. It was pretty hard of a class, but is actually encouraged and enthused and emboldened now because that specific teacher said it's kind of felt a little stagnant having to teach the same things over and over again. And now with this course, this person is able to see what actually takes place in industry and what takes place in industry today, and how to translate, and is enthused and how this person can translate it to the students that he will be engaging with for this upcoming school year. We've had another teacher take a SolidWorks course that we also spoke of. That person did really well in the course, and those skills can also cross-pollinate into other things. It's not just designing for manufacturing, but it can be, this designing can be used for all different types of virtual designing and creativity. The last teacher took the CNC course that we had and had to juggle the virtual side, and then as restrictions got eased up, had to have the opportunity to run some of the machines. And I think that this specific teacher is going to also be used to teach both the high school and some college courses now. So this has definitely enriched our whole area for these teachers being able to participate in this training. So.
Wonderful. So with that, I think you've really seen the depth and breadth of not only what we have as a state manufacturing training, because again, a lot of the things that we're doing are being done in the other consortiums, but you've learned about REMAKE, you've learned about the branding, how important it is to really change the perception of manufacturing and the work that's being done. And then also, how important manufacturing is to Massachusetts. It's one of the leading industries in Massachusetts with employment. So with that, I want to thank you for working with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.